The Krillian apex predators were the subject of 17,000 documented studies across 42 star systems. Their reputation preceded them like a shockwave through quantum space, four-legged death incarnate, evolved on a world where survival meant perfecting the art of killing. The galaxy's most prestigious xenobiologists had spent centuries cataloging their hunting patterns, their neural architecture, their uncanny ability to sense fear through electromagnetic fields that living beings naturally generated. And they had one rule, enforced by every civilization that had encountered them: never approach within 50 meters, never make direct eye contact, never, under any circumstances, show weakness. William Chen, maintenance technician 3rd class aboard the research vessel Prometheus Dawn, was currently doing all three. Maya watched from the observation deck, her six-fingered hands pressed against the reinforced glass, her twin hearts hammering in her chest cavity. The Valusian skin had shifted to a deep purple, the color of existential dread among her species. Below, in the containment habitat, the human stood less than 5 meters from a fully grown Krillian male, scratching behind what could only be described as its ear. This cannot be happening," she whispered, her translator struggling with the breathless quality of her voice. Dr. Zentar, the ship's chief xenobiologist and a member of the intellectually superior Archon race, stood beside her. His crystalline form refracted the habitat's artificial sunlight into nervous patterns across the deck. I have no classification for this behavior, no framework, no precedent. The Krillian designation Ka-7, nicknamed Apex by the research team, weighed approximately 400 kilograms. Its musculature was visible beneath its sleek obsidian hide, each movement a demonstration of compressed lethality. Its jaw could generate 12,000 newtons of bite force. Its claws were monomolecular sharp, evolved to slice through the armored hides of megafauna on its homeworld of Krill Prime. It was currently making a sound that the linguistic algorithms couldn't properly translate, but which resembled, impossibly, purring. "Good boy," William said, his voice carrying clearly through the audio feed. "Yeah, that's the spot, isn't it? Behind the auditory sensor. Who's a terrifying apex predator? You are. Yes, you are." Maya's translator provided the words, but they made no sense strung together in that sequence. She had worked with William for 6 standard months, long enough to recognize that humans possessed certain peculiarities. They consumed poison for pleasure and called it coffee. They deliberately exposed themselves to dangerous gravitational forces for fun. They had domesticated the predators of their own world and allowed them to sleep in their dwelling spaces. But this was different. This was a Krillian. "How long has this been occurring?" Zentar asked, his voice resonating with harmonics of academic fascination fighting against primal terror. "I discovered them 3.7 minutes ago," Maya replied. "I came to deliver the scheduled nutritional supplement for Ka-7 and—" she gestured helplessly at the scene below. William had produced something from his maintenance coveralls, a sphere of some kind. He held it up, and the Krillian's predatory gaze locked onto it with the intensity of a targeting laser. Then the human threw it. The creature exploded into motion, a blur of muscle and killing intent, crossing 30 meters in less than 2 seconds. It seized the sphere in jaws that could crush starship hull plating, then, impossibly, trotted back to William and dropped it at his feet. "Fetch," William exclaimed, radiating what the emotional sensors classified as joy. "You learned fetch. Dr. Zentar is going to lose his mind when he sees this." "An accurate prediction," Zentar muttered. Maya's scientific training warred with her survival instincts. "We must intervene, extract him before—" "Before what?" Zentar interrupted. "Before the Krillian continues to engage in behavior that contradicts every study ever conducted, before it plays." The word hung in the air like a linguistic impossibility. The habitat door hissed open. Captain Vexnar strode in, her Zentari combat exoskeleton clicking with each step. As head of ship security, she had clearance to access all areas, and her threat assessment implants were currently painting her HUD with warning colors that didn't officially exist. "Report," she commanded, then stopped as she saw the scene below. Her mandibles went slack. "Is that human?" "Yes," Maya confirmed miserably. "And the Krillian is?" "Also yes." They watched in silence as William produced what appeared to be dried biological matter from another pocket. "Treats," he explained to Apex, who had sat down with the patience of a trained companion animal. "You've been such a good boy, the best boy, here you go." The Krillian accepted the offering with surprising delicacy, and the sound it made could only be described as contentment. Captain Vexnar's tactical computer was attempting to model the situation and failing spectacularly. "How is he not dead?" "I have 17 hypotheses," Zentar said, his form shifting colors rapidly as he processed. "None of them make sense. The human's pheromone profile shows no fear, no aggression. His electromagnetic field radiates what the Krillians would interpret as pack bonding behavior." "Pack bonding," Maya echoed. "Krillians are solitary hunters, they don't form packs." "They don't form packs with each other," Zentar corrected. "There has been no study on cross-species pack formation because no species has been foolish enough to attempt it." He paused. "Except, apparently, humans." William had sat down on the habitat floor now, and Apex had positioned itself next to him, its massive head resting on the human's lap. William was running his hand along the creature's skull, following the ridge where its sensory organs clustered. "You know what your problem is," William said conversationally to the predator. "Everyone's scared of you, so nobody's ever been nice to you. But you're not mean, are you? You're just lonely, just needed a friend." Maya accessed her data pad, pulling up William's personnel file. Human, Earth origin, maintenance specialist, previous occupation, animal rescue and rehabilitation. She hadn't understood what that meant when she'd first read it. She was beginning to now. "He's domesticating it," she breathed. "He's domesticating a Krillian apex predator." "Impossible," Captain Vexnar stated. "Domestication requires thousands of generations of selective breeding." Zentar's form had settled into a steady blue, the color of scientific breakthrough. Not for humans, apparently. Their species has a documented history of befriending anything that moves, sometimes things that don't move. They form emotional attachments to their cleaning robots, to plants, to inanimate objects they've assigned names and personalities. "But a Krillian is just another animal to them," Zentar finished. "We see a perfect killing machine. William sees something that can be scratched behind the ears." The intercom crackled. "Maintenance to bridge. Hey, Captain. I know I'm supposed to be fixing the air recycler in Section 7, but I got a little sidetracked. Is it okay if I spend another hour with Apex? I think I'm making real progress with the basic commands." Captain Vexnar looked at Maya. Maya looked at Zentar. Zentar's crystalline structure managed to convey a shrug despite lacking shoulders. "Maintenance," Vexnar replied carefully. "Define progress." "Well, he's learned his name, he comes when called, and he hasn't tried to kill me even once. I think with some patience, we could even work on stay and drop it. Oh, and I think he likes having his belly rubbed, but I'm going to wait a few more days before trying that. Don't want to push too fast." Maya's translator provided the words, but her brain rejected them as a cognitive hazard. "Permission granted," Vexnar said finally, "but if that creature shows any signs of aggression—" "He won't," William interrupted with baffling confidence. "We're buddies now, right, Apex?" The audio feed picked up that impossible purring sound again. 3 weeks later, the Prometheus Dawn entered orbit around Krill Prime to return Ka-7 to his homeworld. The release was supposed to be conducted via remote drone, maintaining the regulation 50-meter distance. William insisted on accompanying Apex personally. "You can't just dump him in the middle of nowhere," he explained to the assembled command staff. "He needs to be reintroduced gradually near a water source with good hunting grounds. I've prepared a whole transition plan." Dr. Zentar had begun writing a paper titled Human Pack Bonding Behavior as a Universal Constant. Captain Vexnar had started drinking something the humans called whiskey. Maya had requested a transfer to a ship with fewer humans aboard, but had been denied on the grounds that she was now the galaxy's leading expert on human-Krillian interaction protocols. They watched on the monitors as William led Apex down the shuttle ramp onto Krill Prime's crimson soil. The Predator followed him like a faithful companion, occasionally bumping its massive head against the human side. At the edge of a deep forest where the sensors detected an abundance of prey, William knelt down. He held Apex's face in both hands, meeting those deadly eyes with nothing but affection. "This is home, buddy. Your real home. You're going to do great out here, okay? You're strong, you're smart, and you're the best boy in the entire universe." The Krillian made a sound that the sensors had started classifying as whining. I know, but you'll make friends. Maybe find a nice Krillian lady, start a pack of your own." William's voice cracked slightly. "And hey, if any of them have trouble adjusting, you can teach them about fetch, right?" Maya, watching from the ship, felt something unusual in her primary heart. Humans called it emotions, and she was beginning to understand why they were simultaneously the galaxy's greatest strength and most dangerous weakness. William stood, took several steps backward, and pointed toward the forest. "Go on, you're free." For a long moment, Apex didn't move. Then, with one last look at the human who had ignored 17,000 studies and broken every rule, the Krillian turned and vanished into the wilderness. William wiped his eyes as he walked back to the shuttle. "Maintenance to bridge," he called out. "Mission accomplished. Also, I've been thinking. Those ice serpents we picked up from Theta Station, I bet I could teach them tricks too." In the observation deck, Captain Vexnar groaned. Dr. Zentar began frantically updating his paper, and Maya, despite herself, smiled with her species' equivalent of amusement. The universe's deadliest four-legged beasts had one rule. The human had ignored it casually, and somehow, impossibly, he'd been right to do so. Because that was what humans did. They looked at the deadliest creatures in the galaxy and saw friends waiting to happen. They ignored common sense, defied statistical probability, and pack-bonded with anything that had a heartbeat. The galaxy would never be the same. And somewhere in the forests of Krill Prime, an apex predator sat down, looked at the moons rising overhead, and remembered the human who had called him a good boy. And,